you all for having me. It's nice to, I try to get over to Columbia once a year. I've got a friend of mine who lives over here. I forget that it's further from Atlanta than from my house, and I had to drive over from Atlanta last night after doing my radio show. Listen, I am not a solar energy expert, and I didn't even say that at Holiday Inn Express last night. I stayed here. So just keep that in mind. But I do know something about conservatism, and I know something about how we as conservatives should probably get past that and recognize that an all of the above solution to energy is probably where we need to go because we believe in the free market and competition. And unfortunately, around the country, it tends to be our side that throws up big obstacles, while conversely, and also bad on the other side, the left has convinced itself that it can't actually get clean energy supported anywhere without massive government subsidies, which further turns our side off. South Carolina is a great place to be able to determine, and y'all, listen, if I could only take away one thing for you about clean energy today, just think about this. This may be the one area where outside of football season, Georgia is actually doing better than South Carolina. I intend to retire in Hilton Head. I'll be there in a few weeks, and it would be nice to actually clear this light. I mean, they're building a solar farm, and that's how well they were, other than the tariff issue down in South Georgia. And we're dealing with this issue all the time there. I get to having a radio show in Atlanta. I get ambushed all the time by power companies who are opposed to me putting a solar panel on my roof just to be able to help offset the cost of my kids running the air conditioner in the summer. And the bureaucratic and regulatory hurdles that are being placed on top of that when just let everybody compete. You've got essentially traditional power monopolies now realizing that there are opportunities to expand, and instead of getting with the times and moving with the free markets and allowing competition, there are a lot of people invested in blocking to prop up traditional monopolies. And it's interesting to see what's happening, particularly with the Westinghouse bankruptcy and nuclear power, both here in South Carolina, dramatically affected by that. The loss of jobs from nuclear projects. We've got the Plant Vogtle situation in Georgia, which that one will be going forward still, but the costs are just out of control. They've reached the point now where that's never actually a project that's going to pay for itself. But they want to throw up obstacles to solar energy. They want to throw up obstacles to wind energy, other energy solutions. Just a tip of the hat to the Crest Forum that's sponsoring this for being able to go out and make the case that conservatives, we don't have to be scared of clean energy, we don't have to oppose clean energy, because people on the other side are like, we don't have to subsidize it, we don't have to give it special tax breaks to make it viable, that it sells itself. Its ability to allow people to take control of their own energy future, which as conservatives, I think we should be empowering people to take control of their own energy solutions, and we're not. You've got a situation here now in South Carolina where you've got a cap on solar power. That cap has been reached quicker than what people thought. That should tell you the popularity of solar power. I hear all the time from people who oppose solar power that, it's cloudy outside this morning. I hear this constantly from Georgia Power when they call my radio program and tell me that I probably should stay away from solar power because it's going to burn down my house or what have you. It's cloudy. Because it's cloudy, it's not efficient. And because it's not efficient, it's not good. And my response to them all the time is, why are you so scared of it then? If it's cloudy and it's not going to work, let me decide for myself. Let me put a solar panel on my house. Let me take control of my future. Let businesses take control of their future. I mean, the fact of the matter is, as Crest Forum and others have noted around the country, increasingly businesses are turning to clean energy solutions, and increasingly the people who work for those companies are then seeing that, hey, I want this for myself. I want to have access to this. And increasingly, South Carolina, I think, is going to suffer competitively attracting businesses to the state when there are a host of obstacles to being able to embrace all of the above energy solutions. When you're having to rely, particularly in South Carolina, the cost of energy compared to some of the states around, because of the monopoly structure, the regulatory structure, and precluding people from being able to pursue these options, precluding businesses in some cases from being able to pursue these options. It makes it very, very difficult for some of these massive corporations to look at South Carolina and say, am I going to go here or am I going to go to Georgia or, God forbid, Alabama? I don't know why anyone would want to go there, but businesses are. And the regulatory structure and the availability of clean energy, particularly for some of these Fortune 500 .com companies. Now, thankfully, I do believe that this is a sore subject. I apologize in advance. I don't believe you guys are in the running for Amazon over here. You should thank yourselves. They would like to put essentially in the Bank of America Plaza in downtown Atlanta, the tallest building. They want real estate equivalent to 9 of those buildings in one location in downtown Atlanta, which is basically the Atlanta snowstorm from several years ago. Will be like that every afternoon. One of the sales pitches has been the available access for energy alternatives beyond your run-of-the-mill energy in Georgia, attracting businesses. And it goes beyond the business. It goes beyond the business side of it. Again, it goes to the individuals that the company would be bringing in who live in other parts of the country where, ironically, in certain liberal states, they have more choices in how power is produced. And occasionally you get people who really do like to not rely on gas and coal and nuclear power. They want wind, they want solar. And being able to attract those people into your state isn't a bad thing, particularly if they're bringing jobs. What we're seeing here is South Carolina, Georgia, other states, because of the tariff situation right now, are losing jobs when we could be creating jobs. We could be attracting businesses, and we could be attracting people into the states. I would just encourage you guys, as you're looking at this, I know there's legislation coming up in the South Carolina legislature that you shouldn't be beholden to the way traditionally we have regulated and consumed and produced power in the states. Now, I realize there is an argument for conservatism being we don't move beyond the past. That's not the conservatism that I embrace. The conservatism that I think has made the conservative movement in the country what it has become is one that recognizes free markets and individual liberty. A conservatism that says the government should not throw up barriers to your opportunities of choice. And a government that should not be beholden to propping up monopolies. If you stop propping up monopolies, you see costs come down. And the monopolies, as they suddenly realize they have competition, they do learn to compete. The only thing scary is the idea of competition. And competition ultimately helps everyone. And right now, across the country, particularly in conservative states, with the exception of Texas, we're seeing conservative obstacles to these energy alternatives for no reason other than propping up monopolies. That's not free market. It's not good for consumers. It's not good for voters. It's not good to tell voters that you have massive energy costs because we are fearful of monopoly. We're fearful of competition. What is a great message for conservatives out there is that we embrace all of the above. That we're not scared of energy alternatives and we're not hostile to energy alternatives. We don't have to be like the left and throw massive subsidies to try to get everyone to convert. Again, it's South Carolina. It rains sometimes here. We're not the desert Southwest. I think everyone in the solar power industry would tell you that they acknowledge there are days where natural gas or coal are going to be more efficient than solar power. But there are days where that may not be the case. And why should we preclude that choice and that opportunity and that ability to drive down costs for consumers? If you want to keep going down this way, it'll be more than just football season where Georgia has an economic advantage on you. And given that traffic in Atlanta is a nightmare, I would very much prefer South Carolina to not let Georgia be more economically competitive so that I can actually get into my office until they decide to build tunnels under Atlanta so that I can pass by. So I would very much encourage you guys to support Electric Bill of Rights in South Carolina. I would very much encourage you guys, as conservatives who hold yourself out as conservatives, to not worry about monopolies. Let the free market work. When you let the free market work, we're all going to win on this issue. And when you let free market work, the real winners are going to be the voters who realize because of you, their power bills are coming down. They have real world money to spend on other things to prop up other industries through their consumption, that you will be allowing them through public policy and regulation to have that money to be able to do. This is a win for us. It's a win for South Carolina, and it's a win for voters. So hopefully this will pass the South Carolina legislature, and hopefully solar has a bright future in the Southeast, even on a cloudy day. Thank you all for having me.